The current schedule for the 2020-2021 school year calls for students in grades 7 through 12 to engage in hybrid instruction, which will rotate between on-site instruction and virtual instruction in block-style periods. Shenendehowa is moving to block periods of instructions for the health and safety of the community. This style of instruction reduces number of transitions and subsequently lessens risks of the spread of the illness. Fewer transitions allow for easier contact tracing should it be necessary, and it also allows time for proper cleaning and sanitizing procedures to be employed in common areas of buildings and within classrooms. Shenendehowa feels there are many instructional benefits to moving to blocks during COVID-19. With fewer transitions and more time spent with students in each class, we hope strong relationships are built between students and teachers quickly. We hope that only 4 blocks a day creates a better, calmer atmosphere that will lead to better mental health for students and teachers. We hope lessons that are developed in this time allow for deeper learning and engaging lessons. We feel that it also provides an easier transition with a schedule intact should a scenario evolve where instruction pivots fully to a virtual setting. Finally, we believe reducing it to 4 blocks a day will help the time management and reduce daily prep for students and teachers, particularly in a hybrid environment where teachers may be working with both on-site and virtual students. The work of examining good lesson design within the block started last year with many secondary teachers within the district. The district hired Elliot Marenblum. Mr. Marenblum has had a very successful career in education. He is now consulting districts on scheduling and teaching in extended time. He has co-authored several books. The presentation today on engaging lesson design within extended time is based on the work he shared with us. Before we start our training today, let's ask ourselves as educators, what do we know for sure? How do students learn best? Learners build on prior knowledge. Clearly stated targets or learning goals encourage positive student achievement. Students need time to learn concepts and skills. Learning occurs best when delivered in small increments. Formative assessment with specific and appropriate feedback is one of the most powerful tools in a teacher's repertoire. Repetition or practice makes permanent. Use of a variety of modalities in learning new concepts reinforces the learning and promotes retention and transfer. Exercise and physical movement is highly correlated with neurogenesis, the production of new brain cells. Dr. Marenblum believes that a common belief structure within our school district can be used as a solid framework for unit and lesson planning. Shenendehowa teachers know when students learn best. In your first engagement of today, please pick 2 to 3 of these 8 beliefs about student learning that I just shared with you that resonate particularly with you and your subject area. Share why you picked them in your response. Elliot Marenblum suggests that educators look at lesson design in a block as a series of small engagements that connect to one another. Research presented on small step instruction shows that it takes advantage of the focus time of our students. Engaged adults can only focus for 20 minutes. It allows for reflection or periodic thinking reviews for our students. It respects limits of memory when delivered in chunks or small digestible bites, and it allows for adequate processing. Elliot asked teachers to start lesson design by selecting a conceptual lens. He described a conceptual lens as the following: a broad concept allowing thinking to transfer, the integrating idea for a unit, the underlying principle, the unifying factor of learning, a theme for an interdisciplinary unit in small learning community, or a basis for chunking information or identifying sameness. He presented us with a list of conceptual lens options. In your second engagement of today, using this list, Think about your subject area and identify examples of conceptual lens that you use for units that are taught. Once you've thought about all the lenses that you use throughout the academic year in your subject, we would like you to select one topic that you would like to plan a lesson for in an extended block and select the appropriate concept lens for it. For example, we use this planning template in our presentation today. The 3 lenses we used were change, cooperation, and creativity. It will definitely be a change to increase time for instruction. We believe that in order to do this successfully, we have to cooperate with each other as a team, as a PLC, with coworkers and administration to make the change the most successful it can be. The last one we picked was creativity. Teachers have already been very creative with their lesson planning design, and we will need to continue to tap into that creativity as we increase our time in the classroom. We would like to give you some choice in how you partake in this task. You can choose to do this online or in paper. If you choose to do it online, we just ask that you follow this set of instructions. When you click on this dot, it will ask you to make a copy of the document and rename it, and then share the settings so that you can link your work below. You can always click on this document and make a copy and print it, and take a picture of it and share your settings and link that here as well. For the purpose of today, I will be using this engagement planner online with you as we go through it. And so I will write down change, cooperation, and creativity in my concept lens. The next step in our lesson design was to identify target learning and essential questions for the lesson we would like to create. In his work, Elliot reminded us of the definition of these 2 things and what they should look like in our planning. Please take the time to review these definitions of target learning and essential questions. In the lesson plan we created for today, the target learning, as a learner, by the end of this presentation, you will be able to identify a concept lens, identify target learning and essential questions, design a lesson plan as a sequence of engagements, and use guiding questions to evaluate those engagements. The essential question for today is, how does an articulated engagement approach to instruction enhance learning? If you need further examples that were created by your coworkers. Be sure to write down your target learning and essential question that you have identified in your lesson. Once target learning and essential questions have been identified, teachers can begin to plan a sequence of effective engagements. Think of all the ways you engage students currently. A 40-minute lesson should include no fewer than 3 engagements. Please reflect on how Mr. Marenblum classifies engagements in the next several slides. When planning your engagements, think of the 9 strategies that affect student achievement the most. Identifying similarities and differences, summarizing and note-taking, reinforcing effort and providing recognition, homework and practice, non-linguistic representations, cooperative learning, setting objectives and providing feedback, generating and testing hypothesis, questions, cues, and advanced organizer. For your 5th engagement, we would like you to think about 5 engagements that you would use in a lesson. Use your lens, target learning, and essential questions that you have identified to guide your planning. Try to move from the concrete to the abstract. Be specific. Remember, active engagements require student actions. Please see several examples below to help you in your planning. After the creation of our 5 engagements, Elliot Marenblum introduced us to this diagram. This shows us the essential elements that should be in every engagement. This element of an engagement diagram presents teachers with a narrative sequential format for lesson development. Each element emerges from and moves towards the end goals contained in the target learning and essential questions. The concept lens influences each of the engagement elements. Every engagement should have a clear purpose and motivation for our students. It should ask them to recall prior knowledge. It should have an effective engagement, which makes them be the active participants. It should be formally or informally assessed. And it should allow time for student reflections, and it should make a connection to the next engagement that's present. In the next several slides, please see definitions for each one of these elements. In your fifth engagement of this activity, please choose one of your engagements and use the materials provided to identify the elements of one engagement. We use this style of lesson planning to help us create this presentation today. So here you could use as an example, and here are several examples from your coworkers. Now that we have completed Dr. Marenblum's training on planning in a block schedule, you can independently go on to finish your engagement planner. Be sure to complete your planner and link it in the document provided. Be sure to use this as a template if you need some extra guidance. In closing, I'd like to circle back to our goals for today. Today's PD focused on the concept lenses of changes, creativity, and cooperation. As we move to a block schedule, we believe all three of these things are important. I'd also like to go over the connections that we hope that you learn from each one of the engagements today. First, as a department, a belief structure has been identified that all good lesson planning stems from. Teachers will refer to the concept lens as they identify target learning and essential questions. Once concept lens, target learning, and essential questions have been identified, teachers can begin to plan a sequence of effective engagements. In order for each engagement to be successful, elements of the engagement should be analyzed to maximize learning. And when each of these lesson elements is addressed, the learner knows the path and will get there successfully. Many of the Shenendehowa teachers in the district went through this training on February 28th with Elliot Marenblum present. If you would like to see some of their work, please follow this bit.ly address. And questions that we have for closure. What is the word that best describes what today meant for you? In what ways did today's lesson model what we want teachers to do in extended time periods? And last, I guess not a question, but more of a statement. Thank you so much for all of your hard work that you put in at the end of last year and today. We hope this has been a successful learning experience. Please complete the following survey on today's training by clicking on the link. We know that this year will look different for everyone, with many unknowns, but we believe our collaboration as a staff will result in an amazing school year for our students.